We're Batman at 89. Hello and welcome to Batminute 89, the show where we joke our way through Batman 1 minute at a time. I am one of your hosts. Yes, I'm glad you got onto that now. I am one of your hosts, John Parker.
I am the other host, Niall McGowan.
Yes, and today we are joined by a very special guest, award-winning actress and writer, Lexi Wolfe.
Ciao, everybody.
Hey, thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
No problem. Thank you very much for having me.
You've got into... Oh, actually, I should let John, he'll describe what happens in the minute, because I was about to get in, because it's a big one. I was all excited. So.
You're breaking from the format, Niall. That's not fair.
Yeah, no, you go. You do and do your thing. That's what you think you gotta do.
So, the minute starts with Grissom begging to make a deal, and it ends with Bruce watching Vicky sleep, which is kind of creepy, but okay, we'll go with it.
Well, she gets him back next minute, so...
That is true, that's true. Spoiler alert for everybody following along with us.
But, so to get in, to just jump in, because we're right in the heart of the action here now.
Oh,
We have Grissom with his... And this tragically may be one of my final Jack Palance impressions of the whole show. So.
We're all looking forward to this one.
Oh, if it's Jack, maybe we can make a deal.
That was beautiful.
Oh, yeah,
that was pretty much better than anything I could have come out with on the spot, to be brutally honest. And I act and stuff for a living, you know.
Well, no, I've been doing this guy for like every minute he's appeared in the film so far, so some experience of it. So
that is only a few months and a couple of times of doing it. Yeah.
Jack Palance is an absolutely stellar actor to do impressions of, to be fair. He's got that really watchable face. Oh, mate, that voice is really so... What's the phrase I'm looking for? Characterful, I think.
Oh, yeah.
But I know Jack Nicholson definitely takes advantage of doing an impression of Jack Palance later in this very film. But but then we get the classic now, just flat out the introduction of a character we've had to, for 36 episodes, dodge around and be like, well, I can't really talk about him yet, but...
Oh, yes, he's finally here, the man himself.
So we get Jack's... Jack is dead, my friend. You can call me Joker. And then he whips off his hat, and we see all the damage that's been done.
You say damage. It just looks like... I'll be honest, it looks like makeup. It doesn't look particularly, nasty,
but
does
mate, it's creepy. I remember even as a kid, the very first time I saw that, I was like, is that his actual face, so to speak? And I think they got that really quite well. The fact that you're kind of going, is that what's happened? Is that real, permanent type of thing? And that's what makes it creepy with the over-the-top smile. It's really weird.
Oh, absolutely, as well, because at this point, you don't really know much about him. So he could be horribly disfigured, and he's put all that over to cover it.
To cover it, yes.
Yeah, to look normal and failing.
I know what we mentioned last week, though, because it's more the fact that it seems to be perfectly healed, considering these are all wounds that are like a day old. That he's had this the glass and a bullet to the face, and then he fell on some chemicals, and then he had some surgery, and now he just looks like that. He just look like there's no more need for healing. It's like, no, he's done. That's just...
Considering forgive me, it's like, what is the acid type that he's fallen into?
Exactly.
I mean, what is that?
We did investigate back during the minutes where he actually fell in. We did do the research and found out that in the comics they have tried to explain which kind of chemical concoction it is that he fell into.
Why it caused this particular outcome. Yeah.
Yeah, but even then they try to keep it a bit of a mystery by saying, well, it's all this stuff, but then there's something else that he can't identify, and it's like, oh, well, why bother in the first place then?
Yeah, don't break it down if you can't actually tell us something.
I will note though, in the original script, like the old Sam Hamm draft from 86, there's we're described the Joker a bit differently, because the way they have him, they say as soon as he whips off the hat, it's his flesh is bleached bone white, his hair is luminous seaweed green, and his cheeks are torn and puckered from the bullet wound, twisting his mouth into a hideous perpetual Harlequin's grin.
Oh, that's a good writing. I like that.
That is very good description. You get it in your brain instantly with that.
Thing is, though, that's great and all. That sounds like a Joker we got several years later. Like the
Oh yeah,
it's and we keep dodging around this fact that, like, because we'll get to it when it dictates that we should. But there are several elements in the Sam Hamm original script that are very eerily similar to things that pop up in The Dark Knight, like 20 to 30, well, not 20, not 30, nowhere near 30, 20 years later.
Mm-hmm.
They totally raided that script for ideas, and why wouldn't they? It's a great idea.
But no, I think they decided to go more for, I guess it's more of a kind of, not family friendly, but like it's still creepy, but it's not quite as hideously... like mortally damaged kind of look. Is more like, oh, he's just this really creepy looking guy now.
It's not so gruesome, is it?
No, not at all, no. But,
well, hang on, I've just thought of something. So this is going back. I'm breaking from protocol now. I'm doing a Nile, as it's now going to be known. I was just thinking then, Grissom, because I've got the minute up, he wants to make a deal. He wants to cut a deal. But what exactly is he going to offer? Because what can he offer Jack that he's going to take? Because you know that Grissom's just going to screw you over and try and kill you again in about 2 days.
Desperation, surely. His motive in that moment must be, I'm probably a little bit screwed right now, so what can I do? Oh, I'll just bargain my way out of this. I'll just make it up as you go along.
I think that's it. He's making it up, yeah.
That's his motive. He is making it up, and he's going, okay, screwed now.
Yeah,
he knows it's not going to work himself, I think. He's like, well, I might as well try.
It could be like another take of Jack Palance been like, I'll give you... all right, I got nothing, man.
The lovely desk. You could take the desk.
Desk.
We found out that the last episode was that the replica of the other desk that he has sold for like 10 grand. So
yeah, not even the real one.
Although to be fair, once the Joker takes just Grissom's position, he gets everything anyway. So I don't think it really matters. But one thing I will say that I noted, and I think that I want to keep an eye on this actually throughout the rest of the film, is because I mentioned it with Batman earlier. I'm a fan of when they refer to him as the Batman, because I just think that sounds cooler. And the same with the Joker. I think like, oh, the Joker. It sounds more like it's a title. It's like the way
like it is entitling kind of thing, because it makes it unique, makes it more than, as you say, a name. It gives them kind of this certain social position with having just "the" on the front of it. Yeah.
It's kind of like it's back in that whole. The other kettle of fish would be like, well, in Doctor Who, is he Doctor Who or is he the Doctor? And it's like, well, the Doctor sounds way cooler. So, but
Niall, if we start talking about Doctor Who, though, we will go off on a tangent very, very quickly, though. or is that the general mode?
We've brought Doctor Who up quite a few times, actually, because nearly every single actor in this, nearly every actor is also in Doctor Who, by the sounds of it.
But yeah, that's the thing, though. In this line is that you can refer to me as Joker. And then later on in the film as well, he does say, like, oh, Joker here. And it's like, he's going like, no, this is my name. My name is Joker. And it's like, well, yeah.
Like Carl or something.
Yeah, I like it as a title. As a name, it doesn't work for me. He's not called Joker, but he objects to being called Jack. I suppose he's a new man.
Yeah. But then it's kind of like, is he going to have to go down that old Adam West Batman route of like when he's signing checks, he'll have to be like Joseph Kerr and like, oh yeah, my name's Joe Kerr. Like, like that's
but like,
kind of going down to the courthouse.
The way I sort of look at this particular minute is that everything that's kind of gone on with him before he was the Joker has sort of driven him to this sort of like completely insane moment. And so it makes sense that he would be this kind of almost new creature born out of everything that has happened before. That's how, again, I'm going to go slightly off on my acting tangent in many ways. That would be like a coping mechanism of distancing oneself from everything that's gone before, a way of coping with it, and all of a sudden you're this new thing, and you can actually deal with everything that's going on, like the fact that you are sociopathic and you're going to kill Grissom and take over his criminal empire.
I mean, I think that seems to be very much exactly what it is, because we did in the minutes like leading up to this, we've talked like, quite a bit of like we're always told that Jack Napier is like, oh, you know, he doesn't care about anything, but we've seen that he's actually a bit of a coward. Like he runs from everything, and he always seems like he'll impulsively do something, and then you can see like looks of regret, and he has that worry about him, and it's like you see now in the spoilers for the rest of the minute when he shoots Grissom and essentially takes over his empire. He could have done that anyway at any time, but it's more he had whatever shred of humanity was in him that kind of kept that in check. But now that he has become something else,
it's evaporated now. Yeah.
Well, he feels he's got nothing else to lose now, doesn't he?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Well, he was presumed dead, so yeah.
Yeah, well, actually, was it the last minute that he actually said that?
Yeah. Oh yeah, we had that. I've been dead once already. All that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you could almost see a parable. I'm again going into the very much the philosophical kind of realms of it, but you could almost see what's happened when he was in the acid as a kind of a rebirthing, or like a baptism into his new personality in many ways. So there's that as a theme with that.
They kind of get into more the baptismal sort of visuals and in Suicide Squad when he.
I was about to bring that up actually.
Yeah.
When he's dipping Harley in it, and then he comes back out. It looks very much like a pastor out in the middle of the lake, sort of recovering the newly saved and whatnot. But
that did get me. I mean, I was all right with Suicide Squad actually. There were bits of it I really liked, and bits of it I was like, large gaping hole there. The acid, I was like, are you insane? Get out of there! Like now. They were in there just a tiny wee bit too long, you know what I mean?
I kind of liked. I really enjoyed the visual of it, though.
Oh yeah,
I mean, I didn't really like the
stunning.
movie as a whole, but that shot, it was great.
With all the sort of colors swooshed and stuff, that was really kind of. Again, it was like this kind of shedding of old skin in many ways. So yeah.
That's one thing I wasn't a big fan of Suicide Squad. Like, I didn't hate it as much as other people did, but there is a little character moment in that scene of the Joker that's very much like, oh, they got him kind of spot on there. Where, like, he's let Harley jump in.
Yes.
And then he's just about to go home. He's just like, well, that's done. And then he has a kind of moment of, like, you can see, like, no, I shouldn't do this. He kind of runs back and jumps in, and after he's like, I do actually care for this woman, so I'm gonna go save her. Although that's the thing, like he jumped in knowing like, oh, I guess I won't suffer any further damage. It's like, well, whatever it did to me, it can't do any worse. Like it could pretty much kill you, dude. Like it's
it's still acid, man.
Yeah, it could finish the job.
Yeah.
And it is, I can't remember I think we brought this up maybe last week as well, of the debate of like, why would you keep making the same chemicals? Like surely you're like, anyone could come in and just jump in and become the Joker now, apparently.
But there must be a technique to it. Not anyone can do it, you know.
Yeah, but it seems
got to be the right guy.
But he's got the thing though. It's like, well, I'm doing it with Harley. He's like, I threw her in it, and then she became. Well, though you could also say that like she's already snapped at that point. So like the skin bleaching is more of just a formality more than anything, really. But
it's like a what do you call it? A rite of passage for her more than anything else.
Anyway, now that we're talking about, I should probably get back from Suicide Squad.
Yes, Batman 1989. His smile here, it brings me back to what we were saying just before, to what Lexi brought up. I don't really understand how that has happened to his face. Are we to imply it's the doctor who's done it, or it's the chemicals that have done that to his face? Because it's confusing. Is it stretched the skin, the muscles?
Yeah, there might have been so little left of the flesh on his face, so to speak, that they've literally had to stretch what they had in order to save the entire face, so to speak. That's
like pull it up, like a kind of facelift.
So yeah,
I wonder if there was a debate of symmetry, because they could have had like, oh, it's all on one side, and then he's like, he's got this weird kind of half smile. I better do the other side as well, so it evens out. He'll like that. He'll be happy with that. And he saw like, oh, I really screwed this up.
Oh, now I really want to see an asymmetrical Joker face. But I don't know how you'd pull that off and it still look like a grin. But you could do something twisted. It
could be like some kind of smug smirk, just like.
There's bound to be some fan art on the internet that will have that as an actuality, a half like twisted face of the Joker.
Well, if it doesn't exist already, everyone listening, get on it now. Get it on Tumblr within the hour, please. Yeah.
Of course, though, within the actual minute as well, he starts, he goes in strong with the, I'm going to make essentially puns and jokes about my own appearance straight off the bat. Because he has this whole, as you can see, I'm a lot happier. And it's like, but
nice one. I see what you did there.
Other than this is the thing now, because I remember when I rewatched the whole film, and this, in researching, back in the day, the research for the beginning of this.
You did research? What? That's where I'm going wrong.
But there's a thing that's stuck out in my head is that when he whips off the hat and reveals that he wasn't, in fact, the mastermind from Police Academy 6, which was a joke I tried to make last episode, and no one got it. And I'm like, I'm bringing it back up again, because people should remember Police Academy 6 was one of the not as bad ones, all right? And he had a cool
That's
villain.
The only praise you can give it, though. One of the not as bad ones.
It had a cool villain. He was a cool... do you remember the mastermind? He was a silhouette behind the screen, and it just looked like that, and he had a cigar. And he kind of talked like this, though. And it turned out, spoilers for Police Academy 6, that it was Kenneth Mars. So,
not that I don't agree with you, Niall, at all, but you're seriously dating yourself with all these references, just so you know.
But everyone listening is going to have to now watch that, and you've put that on them. That's not fair.
Well, yeah. Maybe that was my joke on them. Like, I've been watching too much of Jack Napier and the Joker. I'm like, no, I'm going to start this thing myself. I'm going to trick people into watching terrible things.
And now your mouth is twisted into a hideous, perpetual Harlequin's grin.
You are becoming slightly sociopathic.
Well, slightly more, perhaps.
more than usual.
But anyway, I can't remember what it was. I had a starting point.
Yeah. We've ruined the whole show.
No, I remember what it was now. He whips off the hat, and then you get the whole reveal of the face. And then I noticed there's a purple smudge on his neck.
Yes, and then I was just looking at that now. I'd never spotted it.
Yeah, and we see then, like, later on, like, his coat seems to be splotches of purple as well. And this is are we to assume this is the outfit he fell into the chemicals in? Because if you remember that, he had a purple suit on, but the shirt was white. And is it like, have the chemicals dyed it orange? Is that what they're trying to infer, or did he get changed in the surgery, or what? What happened?
Oh, well, you can sometimes get a bit of an orange tint if you bleach something that's white. I find.
Oh, maybe that's
it doesn't come out right. It kind of goes weird. Like, you're expecting it to go whiter, and it just sort of wrecks it.
If we're assuming though that somebody's given him, a shirt or something, in the surgery or what have you. I mean, what kind of person gives somebody who's just been through a horrifying ordeal and been severely disfigured something like an orange shirt, even if it is the 80s?
That makes you stand out even more.
It could be just more like, he's got a good sense of humor. He'll like this.
But he does seem to have a good sense of humor, as you said, because he's got over this ordeal in about 3 hours or something. Hasn't he? He's fine with it.
But it seems that because if this is the shirt the shirt's been dyed, it seems like, he really goes with this motif now, because then the Joker, throughout the rest of the film, he's loving the purple and orange combo. Like, he has it all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Except for when he goes for purple and green. But for the most part, he's always, no, I'm purple and orange now. That's my whole look. He could have caught himself in the mirror, and he was just like, this whole business with the face is like, oh, that's terrible. But I'm liking this. This the outfit's looking, it's an improvement, if anything. So,
see, off the top of my head, I would have always said the Joker, purple and green.
Yeah, I would have as well, to be honest.
Yeah, I assume we're thinking that because of the hair. But, I mean, does he wear an orange shirt a lot in, like, other Batman media, other than the movies and things?
Well, I've seen him in the orange shirt in loads of things. Like, he's very heavy on it in this film. And, like, yeah, usually you'll get a lot of purple and green, but you do get the orange and the blue tie quite a bit as well. And then they seem to have sort of done away with it more. Well, obviously, then the animated series, the Mark Hamill Joker, he's got the orange shirt. But then they had the which I thought was like the best Joker outfit was the Heath Ledger one, but they give him a kind of like a weird hexagon design and a blue shirt. And I remember back in 2008, I wanted that shirt so much, and you just couldn't get it anywhere.
Hey, I still want it, Niall. I still want that shirt. No one would even know now as well, and that'd be even better.
Yeah, but it was one of those things. Like, and at the time, it was just like, you can't get this. You probably find them anywhere now, but like, upon release, it's like, no, they didn't anticipate that people would actually want to wear the same clothes as the guy. But So he had that awesome the green waistcoat with the lapels. Oh, it was just a great outfit. It was a great outfit, guys.
It was beautiful. It was. Speaking of beautiful, though, as Joker opens fire on Grissom there's a lovely, some lovely, beautiful music playing. It's got a bit of a circus quality to it, I thought.
Yeah. This is the
playful.
It sort of serves, I guess, as our Joker theme tune, but it's only played like twice in the film. Like it's you get to hear for a bit, and then it's next time you hear is when he's literally waltzing with Vicky Vale on the church tower, and you get to hear it in its entirety then. But I like it. I think it's a good, as you're saying, it's a real circusy, playful kind of thing. I think maybe they could have lent a bit more sinister with it, because I know in the animated series, they, like Shirley Walker, created a theme for the Joker there. It was the same kind of like almost childlike, but very playful, circusy, kind of like, and that was very playful, but then it would switch into a lower key, and it would get very sinister then. And I was like, you need that, but this one stays like light and playful, and it's more his actions that dictate that it's something very, this guy's, he's crazy, you know?
So do you not like the contrast then between the happy, playful music and what you're seeing?
I like it, but I just think that it could have added like a little more of a sinister edge in it, just because I like sinister music. Like I'll sit around and listen to ambient synth for hours. Just to, you don't have to go full tilt into the Heath Ledger where he had that Ebo like. The good thing is the one note.
Nice impression.
You're very good at impressions, Niall. It's beginning to freak me out. Some point I'm going to get like a call at my house and I'm not going to actually know what's going on. There's going to be all these weird noises that you're doing absolutely too accurately.
Yeah, well, that's
much like one of the Police Academy characters.
Yeah. Oh, I love that dude.
I should mention as well, though, like before we move on to him actually shooting Grissom, because I mentioned to my brother that we're recording like this week, and he's like, "Oh yeah, that whole reveal is so pointless as well." Because he was around.
What?
No, because he was around in '89. He's like, the thing is, you watch that film in '89, and every single advert you have seen him go, "Call me Joker," and whip off the hat. So it's like we saw him already. We know. You can't build the character up anymore now because it's like, well, I've seen him already.
Yeah, but that's been a problem for years and years. I've never liked. Everyone seemed to really love this. The trailer for the Phantom Menace, because you just see the whole Darth Maul thing.
Yeah.
Like the lightsaber. It's just like, oh yeah, here's his double lightsabers. That would have been the coolest reveal ever if you expected one and then boom, the other one comes out. You're like, oh my god, you'd lose your mind.
It's hit and miss with a lot of trailers, isn't it? Some of them literally tell you pretty much all of the story and you're like, it looks good, but at the same time, I kind of know everything that happens now.
Yeah.
So is there any need for me to see it? So yeah. But that must have been very different living in '89. I suppose, if you have kind of essentially already seen it so many times while you're having your dinner and see it, and there he is, and then you go to the cinema and oh wow, what a surprise! Yeah. He's the Joker now.
It might work now for someone like if you show it to some kid who's never seen it before. Like I know my friend Anthony at one point. We were talking about like when we were teenagers, we mentioned like, oh, the Rocky Horror Picture Show, and he's like, I've never seen that. I don't know, and because then we didn't have ready access to the internet, so he couldn't just jump off and look it up. But it was on one night. He's like, oh, stuck it on, and then when they actually had the reveal of Frankenfurter just like whipping off his cape and going like, I'm just a sweet transvestite, he was like, what? Like he just didn't see this coming at all. He was completely floored by it. I was like, holy crap, I didn't know that's what it was about.
Oh, that's quite cute. That you didn't know.
He's a big fan of the film now. I think a lot of it might have been from like, I just didn't see it coming when I first watched it.
Biggest shocks of the century.
Yeah. But did he assume that from the paraphernalia and the kind of publicity that you do see from it generally, did he assume that it was going to actually be sort of a horror of some kind? Or I'd love to know what he thought.
I think beforehand I think literally all he had was the name. He was just like, he didn't see any posters. He didn't know anything about it. He's just like, oh, it's something called the Rocky Horror Picture Show. And he's just like, I don't know. Maybe it's like the last picture show with Jeff Bridges. I don't know. But
well, piggybacking off of that, can I make a quick confession? I didn't actually watch the Rocky Horror Picture Show until I was about 18. And I think everybody else sort of like in my class at school seemed to have watched it when they were, I don't know, 13, 14, and it was like it was one of those, it was like a rites of passage for teenagers that you watched it before you were 18 or something like that. Yeah. So I remember watching it, and I wished I'd watched it when I was younger, because overall I kind of like it, but I think I would have gone full on obsession mode had I seen it when I was younger and it been part of my kind of like, everything that is different and wonderful and kooky and strange type of thing. And by 18, I'm like, okay, this is all right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm the same, to be honest. I didn't see it until I was probably maybe 17. And to this day, I think to myself, it's overrated.
Yes!
It's okay.
I'm so glad you said that first. I was so worried that I would have to say that.
And it's only got 1 or 2 songs I actually like. Yeah. Like the rest of them are like, they'll do.
I think I am the person that Lexi was chatting about. I saw it when I was like 14, and it was just like the greatest thing ever. Like it was just, I know it's still, I haven't seen it in years. I could probably still sing all the bloody songs to you, but and I'm not even a guy who's into musicals usually, but that one got you because it's like, well, what the hell is this thing? But
well, that's a weird way around for us though, Niall, because if any one of us like was going to be the guy to be into that, you'd think it would be me, the one who just will wear the most outlandish outfits you can find half the time. So.
But I too, I kind of got this, I only had an impression. Nobody said, it's about like transvestites and people who wear this gothic stuff. Literally the only thing that I knew before my friend Rosie Auckland planted a DVD in my hand and said, do not lose this on pain of death. Was that a group of them, like 3 or 4 of them, had been to the live show, and they were like fishnets and corsets, and I'm kind of like, what kind of show is this? Because bearing in mind, I've, all the shows that I've been into before, I mean, I'm showing off my sadly middle class roots here, but had been like sort of Shakespearean stuff. So you'd show me fishnets and corsets, and I'm going, this is different. So, but that's like, that was literally all I knew. That was the only association I had, and then here it is, and I'm like, oh, okay.
It's weird that when you said middle class, and before you said Shakespeare, my mind instantly went to Annie, and I was like, that's a middle class play, right? And I was like, oh, now it's just like, you mean like proper fancy stuff? It's like,
but I do love Annie. That's a beautiful musical. I have a question coming back to the actual minute. In the moment where it all happens for Grissom, who has like a mini epic death scene. Sorry for everybody who's not watched the movie recently and just spoiling it for you. But in that moment, because he does get shot up quite a lot, and he does sort of stumble back, and Mr. Palance is doing all, his, oh my gosh, I'm dying acting, which is lovely. Do we feel any amount of sorrow for him? This is, I suppose, an actor-writer question for you.
Ooh, that is a good question. I personally don't, but I also don't side with the Joker. Yeah. It's a weird situation to be in. You don't really want either of them to succeed. I don't know.
No. They are, in essence, both the bad guys.
Yeah, well, because I've been saying in other episodes that Grissom always comes off to me as a bit more likable, because I keep saying it seems very avuncular. He seems like when he's not killing people, he's like a nice guy. But
he's got that weird charm, hasn't he?
yeah, for sure. And but I will say though that when he does, he had it coming. Like, it's one of these things, like, he was setting up his friend to take the fall, both to take the fall for him, presumably, in that they were going to try to tie all the stuff with Access Chemicals back into Jack Napier, then to clear his own name. And then the fact that he was flat out just trying to kill him generally. And then the fact that he's even doing that, and he just didn't, apparently, although we did, we were talking about what would have happened to Alicia, but we did kind of settle on, we believe he was actually planning to kill her as well, but...
do you suppose? Okay. Yeah. That's interesting as well. Yeah. Do you think that's like to save face in terms of, he doesn't want people to know that he's been cuckolded, or what?
I think it's probably more it's just like you don't mess with Carl Grissom. So like, I think it was
any kind of insult is pain of death type thing.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. And he had it was our previous guest, Dale. She was saying like, well, it kind of came to the point of like, well, he does have a gun on the desk and he is waiting for her. So he's probably planning to shoot her. And it's like, well, yeah, it makes perfect sense now. But
yeah, that does make
none
sense.
of us had considered it, I think, before we got stuck into the minute. And it was like, oh, wait, why has he got that gun?
Yeah.
The only conclusion we could come up to was that, basically.
Yeah. It does make sense.
Yeah, and Grissom, though, Niall, he's a snake. He comes across more slimy than Jack. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
I'll use this as an opportunity because this is the last minute we get of Grissom. So I thought I'll bring up a little list of actors who were also in consideration to play the part.
Oh, yes.
Some of them, there was only 3 of them, and 2 of them make loads of sense. The third one makes sense as well, but it would have been a completely different performance.
Oh, I'm excited waiting for this. I deliberately didn't look this up because I knew you were. So I was like, I want to be surprised on air.
The first one was Martin Landau, who recently passed.
Oh, that's an obvious one.
He would have been good. Albert Finney was the second one.
Oh, now he would have been interesting as well. I love him.
And I think it was around 1990 then was Miller's Crossing, so I guess he was in the midst of playing a gangster already.
Yes.
And then
yeah, both perfect.
Yeah, and then the third one was Christopher Lee, which
that, like you say, that would have been very different. But yeah, that none of those are bad suggestions either at all.
I would have loved to see this scene with those 2.
Oh yeah.
With Jack and Christopher Lee. Oh, my God.
Good.
I'm just more curious we alluded to earlier that Jack Nicholson ends up doing an impression of Jack Palance, like with Back to Bob the Goon. But I would have loved to have if Christopher Lee had played him, would have been Jack Nicholson doing Christopher Lee Back to Bob the Goon. Like, that would have been amazing. But
let's get Jack on the show and say, do your impression. Go.
I do like the visual though of the Christopher Lee doing the. It's like I can't imagine he can turn on the charm, Lee, but I can imagine he would be much more of a foreboding. Like you wouldn't mess with that Grissom. He seems like he'd be properly scary. But
oh yeah.
And I can imagine him doing Jack, you are my number one guy. Like that would have been that would have been like Jack was like, oh, okay, Trevor.
I'll tell you what, these impressions are becoming my favourite segment on the show now. It's gone from me doing terrible ones to you doing fantastic ones.
So what you're going to have to do as a course of action is you're going to have to go through absolutely every single one of these shows and get all of the best of his impressions and put them as like a bonus extra or in sort of show notes type of thing. That's what you're going to have to do.
Yeah, that can be the Christmas episode.
Yes.
We'll have a hiatus. And
it was just this week as well. Our friend and future guest and host of the Back to the Future Minute and the Spider-Man Minute, Scott Corelli, put up on Facebook, do I know anyone who can do like a good impression of anybody, preferably from the 80s? And I put in, oh, Scott, you've clearly not been listening to my fantastic impressions of Eckhart and Jack Palance in Batman 89. And he put a little laughy face. I'm like, what the hell? It's like, I wasn't joking.
The laughy face is is difficult to interpret sometimes. You're like, are they laughing at me, or do they think what I said is funny, or it's very. I think we need to go back to words rather than just emojis for a while we just figure out exactly what they mean.
And a little personal aside though, Lexi, one of my main memories of you when I first met you way back in the day, and you stuck out in my memory because instead of laughing, you used to say lol.
I did. I still do sometimes. It's terrible. It's a horrible habit. And everybody still says, did you just say lol instead of, just laughing? And I go, yeah, that's something that I do. And I don't know why. I don't know when it started happening, but I think when lol first started happening, it was just less effort than to laugh, to just say lol. So it's a product of laziness, more than likely.
So was it one of those things you said once as like a joke and you just couldn't stop?
And it just became a habit. Carried. Yeah, completely. This is how these things happen. So yeah, I apologize to everybody who's ever been traumatized by the fact that I seem to have no laughter in my soul. I will just say lol instead sometimes. Sorry.
Really hoping that if they ever recast the Joker and decide to like gender swap or something, you have no chance now. Like, it just should come in and like you can call me Joker, lol.
Yeah, I will totally do that. Just call me Joker, lol.
With regards to the actual minute, I never mentioned this. I love it the way when Grissom gets shot, and you were saying he does all the fantastic, oh, I'm dying acting.
Yeah, hands up in the air and everything, bless him.
Yeah, and he flies into his chair and stuff, but he doesn't remotely appear to actually take a bullet. There's no blood. There's nothing. There's no visual change. He just kind of, it's like stage acting. It's,
well, I'm thinking the first one lands. And then, because the rest of the scene is like the Joker, sorry. And I'm gonna make a point now. I'm gonna refer to him as the Joker because I like the sound of that better. So that's my position for the rest of the podcast. But because he's firing over his back and he's going at this angle and that angle, I think he only hits him the one time. Like I think it was that first bullet, and then the rest of it's all set dressing. Like
all show.
Yeah, it's just more to be like,
yeah,
hey.
There's nothing that actually does change against Grissom's body. It's all about the little bit of smoke that's coming out the end of the Joker's gun. So
yeah,
it doesn't actually show up on his body. So did he actually get hit? Maybe the dude had a heart attack, and the Joker never actually hit him. That would be a nice little twist for you.
There's no bullets in the gun.
Yes, it's all a joke gun. Oh,
the ultimate joke.
Oh, what a conspiracy theory we've just hit upon. I like this.
We're on to this.
The thing is that to me, that would... The one thing that strikes me is that you see a direct contrast between like modern day Joker and 89 Joker is that like, you know, from like the Heath Ledger and like, well, even like the mid-90s comics and stuff. The Joker, as we know him now, wouldn't have just shot him. There would have been some...
No.
Like, it would have some twist on it where, like, it would do something really weird and warped.
He would be arranged horribly to say something, to leave a message kind of thing. Yeah, it would. This is actually quite... The Joker of 89 was actually quite, I hate to say it, but tame in many ways in terms of this death. Just showy in terms of making sure that he shoots him from every angle possible.
You say tame, but he's just... let's say they are all bullets and he's hit him with them all. Like, that's not tame. He's unloaded the whole gun. He's no longer Grissom. He's gruesome.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
But no, I'm thinking, like what Lexi said, though, like that seems now, that would be a modern Joker thing, where you'd pretend to shoot him, Grissom would have a heart attack, and then he'd be like, I wasn't even going to shoot you. That kind of...
Yeah.
That would be so good.
But, so if they ever do another
Conspiracy theorists listening to this, get writing into your... Get writing into the directors and everybody. Try and find out if there's any... who would we have to get in contact with to find out
It's a very
if
good
this
question.
is a possibility?
Oh, well, me and John have been we've been asked to never write to any people involved in the production of this again after we letterbombed them for about 7 months. So,
well, I did legitimately tweet Michael Keaton because I felt like I was being rude if I didn't. So, yeah.
I was looking the other day because I was like, if we're going to get anyone on who might come on, it would be Tracy Walter, who played Bob, and he doesn't have a Twitter. And I was like, oh, damn it. I don't want to have to go through
that's his loss, you know.
I could go through his formal channels, I guess, but it would be a bit weird to be like, be coming to me like, hat in hand, be like, Mr. Walter, would you like to come and be on our show? But, so we do get, this is tragically now the end of Boss Carl Grissom. And as he's fallen back into his chair, we get a shot of the now sort of more at rest Joker saying the thing that I actually do say quite, at the end of, I'm sure plenty of people do say it as well, just the what a day, sort of.
I think I say that at the end of every work day, to be perfectly honest.
And then we get what I like is a nice bit of if you look over at Grissom's body, nice bit of Jack Palance leg there, just peeking at
his sexy legs.
Although
to be honest, on the
he's in his house
footage
coat,
that we've got. Oh, it's a very lovely house coat as well. I like the material of that. Although I felt that that being a leather chair, you would slip off it quite easily.
Yeah, there would have been a bit of that, unless you crossed your legs, which would not be comfortable at all. That would be like the only way you could, and then you might fall off face first if you weren't paying attention to your posture.
Yes,
so, yeah.
Yes. But it does allow us to see his legs, as you say. He's not a very hairy man down there, is he? So,
I'm wondering... I can't imagine Jack Palance is in the guy in that chair at that point. So I'm just wondering who was it? Like, who came in to be like...
Stunt legs.
They are pretty good legs, to be fair. Well,
yeah.
Leg. That's all I can see.
It could be like Palance was like really vain. He's like, I want you to get like an Olympic gymnast in to play my leg or something.
Is that somebody? Yeah, somebody who's in the triathlons, a swimmer who needs to shave everything everywhere, and only them.
But then after that, we cut to another lovely scene here. We've got Vicky Vale asleep with Bruce watching over her.
Not creepy in the slightest.
Yeah. Like, do you get the impression he's been doing that all night? Or has he just woken up and he's checking on her? Because one's fine and one's not.
Well, what I got from it is that, I think it's backed up by the events of the next minute, is that Bruce Wayne doesn't sleep at night, so this is him having to be like, well, I'm the lie next to this girl, and this is it's getting pretty awkward, and I'm just trying to slip out here, and it's just...
It makes me think of Friends, when, is it Chandler who's trying to remove his arm from underneath his...
Oh, yeah, he's trying to...
The awkwardness.
Yeah, trying to master how to roll her over in a certain way or something to get his leg out.
Yeah, because she falls asleep in his arms, doesn't she? And he's like, yeah, but then my arm goes dead. I need to somehow release her without waking her up. Do you think Bruce, though, can't sleep because he's awake all night fighting crime, or because he's got all that on his mind? Like, he's worried about the streets of Gotham.
I think it's body clock. I think it's like he is up all night usually, so this is a completely, like, he wouldn't, even if she wasn't there.
It's
if he
just a natural thing.
Yeah, exactly. If he had chosen to stay in that night anyway, he would have been doing the same thing. He would have been sort of left tossing and turning. So,
well, either way, I mean, I would feel safe in Michael Keaton's arms. That's where we all want to be.
Totally.
I will mention as well, John, because it reminded me of something I know that you love, is that we get a little piano rendition of the Batman theme, with like a little do 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 do, and it instantly brought to mind of the scene in Terminator when Kyle Reese and Sarah Connor are mating. Trying to think of a more polite way to put that, but you get a little. But we get that has the piano rendition of the do 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 do
do do do. I always play that in the bedroom.
On several occasions you've told me that that's like one of your favorite pieces of music or something. So this one,
it's beautiful.
It's instantly brought to mind. I was like, oh, I know a guy who's gonna like this. So
I love you, Sarah. I always have. I came across time for you,
Sarah. I know
Sarah.
far more about you guys' bedroom activities than I'm comfortable with right now.
Well, little did you know that you wanted to know. That's really...
But that's all the notes I have for this minute, actually. So, you two have anything else you want to bring up, or?
I got nothing. Literally, I got nothing. I got this show that I've got coming up in Camden in London on the 22nd and 23rd, which is my award-nominated show, Mrs. Oscar Wilde. It's one of these things where it's like literally just me on stage. So it's a little bit scary, but I started doing the one-woman shows like in 2014, which of course, as you imagine, the first one was the scariest. And now I'm kind of okay with them. So if anybody's in London and fancies a bit of literature, this is the way to go. Come and find out about Oscar Wilde's very, towards the end, very estranged but very long-suffering wife, starring yours truly, Lexi Wolfe. Thank you very much. Or just, look me up on Twitter and stuff. I'm pretty much one of the first things you find if you look up on Lexi Wolfe. I'm also on Facebook. And where else am I? I'm as Lexi Wolfe actress, going with descriptive there on Instagram. Just in case there's too many Lexi Wolfes out there.
But is there anything while you have the floor, Lexi, is there anything else about Batman or anything in general or anything about this film or just Tim Burton or whatever that you want to articulate?
You know what? I'm a huge fan of Tim Burton. I do like his work, like historically, not just with Batman, but also, some Dark Shadows I thought was really good. But, oh gosh, sorry. My business partner also happens to be in the room with me at this moment, and the look that he just shot me then, the look.
The thing is, you can't see it, the look I shot you then when you said that, so...
No, I'll defend you. I quite liked that. I didn't love it, but I thought it...
What I liked, I like things that sort of have the vampire story coming sort of into the slightly modern era. And I love the stories where people are slightly out of their depth, where they're like, what the hell is this? Because they belong to a time that's actually like 200, 300 years ago. I love themes like that. So, and I do love a bit of Tim Burton. And I think this is, I know everybody sort of like cusses like that because he's like, he should have done this and, you know, whatever about it. But I think he did a good job, and these movies I obviously grew up with as well. So I side with him with this Batman, so to speak. And it sounds like you guys do too, randomly.
Absolutely. Well, my favourite one's the second one, Batman Returns. I'm really excited for that. I mean, I love this one, obviously, but Returns is the ultimate one.
But I hate them all. Like, this whole experience has been a nightmare for me. So.
This is just a.
This is all me and John prolonged money laundering scheme that we forgot to introduce any actual money into it, so we're just sort of blowing off steam now for the last couple of months.
Hey Niall, I'm raking in all that podcast money. It's all going straight into my PayPal. Yeah, I've just not been telling you.
All right, we're gonna have to end the minute here. Because I'm gonna have to kick you out, Lexi. I'm gonna have to have a word here with John quickly.
Yeah,
so.
cool.
Well, at the very least, now let me wrap up the show. I mean that is it for minute 37 of Batman. Unfortunately, so we are leaving. You'll have to join us again on Wednesday's show because we'll have minute 38. I'd just like to give a shout out to the originator, the Grandmasters Star Wars Minute. We haven't done that for a little while. So make sure to check them out. They're the daddies of this whole thing. And check us out on Facebook at the Batminute 89 Listeners Society, and tweet us at Batminute 89. We are also now, as of recording, as well as all the usual places you can find us, we are also now on YouTube and TuneIn Radio. So check that out as well if you want to, for some reason. We still stick to the other formats. They're better, I think. But if you're really hard-pressed, they're fine.
TuneIn rocks.
That's a good plug. They'll give me money for that, right? So that finishes minute 37. Join us again on Wednesday for minute 38.
Next time, a pendulous paladin and a perusing Pierrot. As Vicky slips out of her slumber, she notices something strange about how her suitor sleeps, much more vertical than usual. And will our mordant mobster turned malevolent mirth maker be made merry by some murder-soaked media? Find out next time. Same Bat Pod, different Bat Minute.